The story begins in the peaceful forests of Ka Hung Mountain as the Lunar New Year approaches. Normally, the village would be glowing with colorful lanterns and filled with laughter, but this year everything is different. A devastating storm and flood have left the entire area in ruins. Instead of preparing for celebrations, every animal in the village is busy repairing the damage and helping their neighbors rebuild their homes. Among those lending a hand are three close friends: the dependable Big Bear, the cheerful Little Bear, and their loyal companion Kwang Chok. Big Bear works tirelessly, lifting heavy logs, clearing dangerous debris, and protecting everyone around him. The villagers admire him for his strength and kindness, seeing him as the reliable guardian of the forest. Kwang Chok has also matured and now helps patrol the village to keep everyone safe. Unlike the others, however, Little Bear can't stop thinking about the New Year festivities. While everyone else is focused on rebuilding, he dreams about delicious sticky rice cakes, bright red lanterns, exciting fireworks, and spending Tet surrounded by happiness. He eagerly begs Big Bear to let them celebrate the holiday despite everything that has happened. Big Bear gently, but firmly refuses. He reminds Little Bear that they are animals and that celebrating Tet isn't something they normally do. Hearing this, several chickens and pigs nearby laugh and tease the Little Bear for his childish dreams. Embarrassed and heartbroken, Little Bear storms away, muttering to himself and wondering why no one understands him. As he wanders alone through the forest, something terrifying suddenly appears. A gigantic monster steps out from the shadows, towering over everything around it. Its enormous body and glowing eyes freeze Little Bear with fear. His legs tremble as every instinct tells him to run, but then he remembers an old legend claiming that monsters fear the color red. Thinking quickly, Little Bear grabs a bright red lantern decorated with festive New Year couplets and throws it directly at the creature's face. The lantern strikes the monster, causing it to stumble backward and crash onto the ground. For a brief moment, Little Bear believes he has defeated the terrifying beast. He proudly puffs out his chest, convinced that he has become the forest's newest hero. His victory celebration lasts only a few seconds. The monster suddenly jumps back to its feet as though nothing happened. Instead of attacking, it casually picks up a bundle of firecrackers and begins chewing on them as if they were delicious snacks. The loud crackling sounds echo through the forest, leaving Little Bear completely stunned. Terrified, Little Bear immediately jumps onto his bicycle and pedals away as fast as he possibly can. To his surprise, the monster doesn't chase him. Instead, it calmly calls out to him with a strange offer. The creature claims it has the power to grant every New Year's wish he has ever dreamed of. Whether he wants wealth, happiness, or anything else, the monster promises it can make those dreams come true. Blinded by excitement and forgetting to question the creature's true intentions, Little Bear eagerly accepts the offer. Without reading the mysterious contract placed before him, he signs it without hesitation. The moment the agreement is completed, a brilliant light erupts around him, filling the entire forest. The flash catches the attention of Big Bear and Kwang Chok, who immediately fear that their younger friend is in danger. They race toward the glowing light as fast as they can. Big Bear reaches Little Bear first and grabs his leg with all his strength, refusing to let go. Kwang Chok quickly grabs onto Big Bear, creating a long chain as they desperately try to pull Little Bear back. Unfortunately, ordinary strength is powerless against magical forces. A massive swirling vortex opens beneath them, pulling all three friends into its center. No matter how tightly they hold on to one another, the magical current is far too powerful. Within seconds, they are all swallowed by the portal and disappear from their peaceful forest. When they finally regain consciousness, nothing looks familiar anymore. The terrifying monster has completely transformed into an ordinary young woman carrying a backpack, as if nothing unusual had happened. Even stranger, Little Bear discovers that a pair of small horns has suddenly appeared on his head, while Kwang Chok now has thick, stylish curly hair that makes him look like a handsome movie star. Everyone seems amazed by these unexpected transformations, except Big Bear. Looking at himself, he realizes nothing has changed. While his friends have received strange new appearances, he remains exactly the same. Feeling left behind and completely ordinary, Big Bear quietly wonders why he was the only one who received nothing from this mysterious journey. Before he has time to think any further, dark clouds gather overhead. A massive spaceship tears through the sky and lands with a deafening roar. Moments later, armed soldiers rush out and surround the three friends. Without understanding who these strangers are, Big Bear instinctively steps forward to protect Little Bear and Kwang Chok. He charges bravely toward the attackers, ready to fight. But before he can throw a single punch, the soldiers fire powerful electric weapons. Blinding bolts of electricity strike all three friends, knocking them unconscious almost instantly. Their mysterious adventure has only just begun, and they have already fallen into the hands of an unknown force. As chaos spread across the battlefield, General Kang prepared to deliver the final blow to Wang Anquan with an enormous spear of ice. Just before the attack landed, Big Bear threw himself into the path of the spear to protect him. At that critical moment, his mysterious spiritual ability activated once again. Instead of attacking, his power allowed him to see directly into General Kang's memories. Inside those memories, Big Bear discovered a completely different side of the stern old warrior. Beneath his cold and serious appearance was a compassionate guardian who genuinely loved and cared for every child under his protection. General Kang had spent countless years sacrificing everything to keep the world safe. Unfortunately, before Big Bear could witness the rest of the memories, General Kang realized someone was peering into his past. Furious, he used his powers to trap Big Bear, leaving everyone in an even more dangerous situation. With less than 24 hours remaining before the new year, Nian Nian finally understood the consequences of her selfish actions. She looked back on everything that had happened with deep regret. While her younger sister, Sui Sui, had always trained tirelessly and accepted the heavy responsibility of protecting humanity, Nian Nian had spent her days playing and avoiding her duties. Now her sister was gone, and there was no one left capable of maintaining the magical orb. Determined to make up for her mistakes, Nian Nian cut her own hand and used her blood to repair the damaged orb. Brilliant golden light burst from the artifact, proving that she possessed extraordinary magical talent. From that moment forward, she accepted the responsibility she had spent so long avoiding. Meanwhile, Big Bear thanked Wang Anquan for protecting him earlier by placing a hand on his shoulder. The instant he made contact, his psychic ability activated again. Horrifying visions flooded his mind. He saw that Wang Anquan had secretly planned everything from the beginning. His true goal was to absorb all the power contained within the magical orb and claim its strength for himself. Before anyone could react, Wang Anquan stole the forbidden manual and drained the orb's energy. Empowered by dark magic, he believed he had become unstoppable. The magical orb was destroyed, its ancient power lost, leaving Nian Nian as the only remaining guardian capable of protecting the world. General Kang immediately confronted the traitor. A fierce battle erupted between light and darkness. Wang Anquan unleashed terrifying forbidden magic, while General Kang countered with graceful but devastating ice techniques. During the fight, the truth behind Wang's betrayal was finally revealed. Years earlier, he had begged General Kang to accept him as a disciple, but the old master had refused because he believed Wang lacked the discipline and character required to wield such power. That rejection filled Wang with bitterness, eventually pushing him down a path of revenge. The battle shook the heavens. Although Wang's stolen power allowed him to wound General Kang, the old master refused to surrender. Gathering every ounce of remaining strength, he launched thousands of icy spears toward his enemy. The battlefield finally fell silent, but the conflict was far from over. Just when victory seemed possible, Wang Anquan suddenly emerged from beneath the ground and launched a surprise attack on Nian Nian. Before the strike could hit her, General Kang stepped in front of his student and took the fatal blow himself. With his last remaining strength, he embraced the traitor and froze half of Wang's body in solid ice, preventing him from escaping. Big Bear watched in horror. Overwhelmed with guilt, He realized that none of this would have happened if he had not accidentally broken the magical seal earlier. As Nian Nian looked on helplessly, General Kang slowly transformed into a statue of ice before fading away, just as her younger sister had done long ago. At that moment, Little Bear and Kwang finally arrived. Seeing the opportunity, Wang Anquan fled from the battlefield. Kwang and Little Bear chased after him until he reached the ancient prison where the terrifying evil beast had been sealed for centuries. Consumed by hatred and desperation, Wang Anquan absorbed the creature's dark energy. He laughed proudly, declaring himself the ruler of the world. But his arrogance lasted only a moment. The ancient monster awakened, opened its enormous jaws, and swallowed Wang Anquan whole, transforming him into a gigantic puppet controlled by pure evil. Realizing they stood no chance against such a creature, Big Bear quickly carried Nian Nian into a nearby cave to hide. Sitting among ancient golden leaves, he confessed how useless he felt. Once the strongest member of his team, he now believed he had become nothing but a burden who brought disaster wherever he went. Nian Nian silently shared his sorrow. While searching the cave, she discovered her younger sister's bracelet. At the same moment, glowing murals appeared across the walls, revealing the forgotten history of the mythical beasts. Before they could fully understand the message, floodwaters burst through the cave, sweeping both of them away. When they emerged from the rushing water, they were greeted by a horrifying sight. The monster had grown into an enormous titan. The soldiers fired every weapon they possessed, yet none of their attacks caused even the slightest damage. Countless smaller monsters rose from the ground, overwhelming the defenders. Just as hope seemed lost, a speeding train crashed into the battlefield. Hundreds of powerful guardians poured out, each possessing unique magical abilities. Together with Little Bear and Kwang, they launched a massive counterattack against the invading creatures. Taking advantage of the distraction, the three friends attempted to separate Wang Anquan from the monster controlling him. Their effort failed, and they were thrown in every direction. Nian Nian landed safely, but Big Bear fell helplessly through the sky. Thinking quickly, Little Bear raised a massive platform of earth, while Kwang used his lightning powers to launch Big Bear high above the battlefield. Gathering every ounce of his spiritual energy, Big Bear unleashed a colossal palm strike upon the monster's head. The explosion lit up the sky like thousands of New Year's fireworks. Instead of destroying the creature, however, Big Bear found himself transported into Wang Anquan's mind. There, he discovered a lonely man consumed by years of disappointment and resentment. Wang confessed that no matter how hard he worked, he always felt ignored and worthless. General Kang's rejection had broken his spirit, eventually convincing him that revenge was the only path left. Big Bear understood those feelings better than anyone. He admitted that he, too, had struggled with believing he was useless. He encouraged Wang to let go of his hatred and remember that true friendship and kindness were far more valuable than power. For a brief moment, Wang considered accepting the helping hand offered to him, but the weight of his own sins proved too great. Smiling sadly, he refused salvation and allowed himself to fall into the endless darkness. Outside, the nightmare only grew worse. The monster regenerated, growing 5 enormous heads and becoming even stronger than before. A wave of evil energy spread across the world, filling people's hearts with anger and hatred. Families turned against one another, friends fought in the streets, and panic consumed humanity. Little Bear desperately maintained a magical barrier to protect everyone, but the monster's overwhelming strength slowly shattered it. As the final countdown to the new year echoed across the world, defeat seemed inevitable. Then everything suddenly stopped. Time itself froze. Using the last of his strength, Big Bear finally completed the ancient mural's hidden message. He learned that the legendary beast was never truly defeated by weapons. It grew stronger whenever humanity was consumed by hatred, greed, and violence. But whenever people united with love, hope, and compassion, the beast lost its power. Understanding the truth at last, Nian Nian accepted her destiny. The warmth, joy, and love shared by countless families celebrating the new year gathered around her in streams of radiant light. Encouraged by the spirits of her sister and General Kang, she transformed into a magnificent goddess, clothed in flowing robes and wielding a divine sword. The monster unleashed every ounce of its dark magic, but Nian Nian effortlessly purified each attack. She charged forward without fear, slicing through all 5 monstrous heads with a single breathtaking assault. As the evil spirit disappeared forever, she saw the peaceful spirits of her sister and General Kang smiling proudly before finally fading into the heavens. When the battle ended, the surviving guardians knelt before their new protector. Nian Nian rushed to Big Bear and embraced him with heartfelt gratitude. It was Big Bear who had taught her that true strength isn't about never failing. It's about standing up again after every fall and continuing to fight for those you love. With peace finally restored, everyone welcomed the new year together. Big Bear no longer saw himself as weak or ordinary. Instead, he realized that courage, kindness, and selflessness are the greatest powers anyone can possess. And with that lesson learned, the heroes returned home, ready to begin a brighter future together.